I'm Cindy Brocado.
And I'm Stan Turner. Next on Eyewitness News on the Update. Stillwater Prison goes on guard against the disease AIDS. We'll have team coverage.
Brooklyn Park authorities uncover barrels of trouble, chemical trouble. Mother Nature wreaks havoc on houses and farms up in northern Minnesota.
But music soothes a savage beast tonight up north. I'm Frank Mann reporting live via News Star 5 at Detroit Lakes. Coming up, the opening of the biggest country music festival in the Midwest and more on the Eyewitness News Update.
Now, from Minnesota's leading news station, Cindy Brocado, Stan Turner, Dennis Felkin, and Bob Bruce. This is the Eyewitness News Update.
Good evening, everyone. Leading the news this Friday night, an all-out effort at Stillwater State Prison to prevent AIDS.
An unidentified inmate at the prison has developed an early form of the disease, something called pre-AIDS. That prisoner is now in isolation, and the question is whether further spread of the virus can be prevented. We have team coverage, beginning with medical specialist Dr. Michael Breen.
The Stillwater inmate developed a condition called pre-AIDS. That means he's got swollen lymph nodes and a positive blood test that shows he's been exposed to the AIDS virus. More than half of such patients go on to develop the more severe symptoms of AIDS. Most experts believe this first case involving the AIDS virus at Stillwater may not be the last. That's because almost all pre-AIDS patients are infectious and can spread the disease to their sexual partners. That means the newly diagnosed inmate may have infected several partners before he was transferred. For that reason, almost all medical authorities recommend seeking out and testing those contacts.
The National Public Health Service has recommended that testing be available for contacts of a person with pre-AIDS, testing for the virus.
This afternoon, prison officials said they'd consider doing the test at Stillwater. All those officials have done so far is to issue a memo asking the estimated 300 gay Stillwater inmates to refrain from homosexual activity. Prison guards, concerned about their own health, say that precaution isn't nearly enough.
Well, right now I'd like to, go get a blood test for everybody that's down there, works there, and isolate this thing if we can. They told us to go continue on with our jobs, and if we do not, there's a door.
Angela Astor has more on how Stillwater authorities plan to contain the possible spread of the AIDS virus.
All new inmates at Stillwater State Prison are given a physical examination, but that examination does not include testing for the disease AIDS. Some prisoners think screening for AIDS is necessary to dispel the current fears of the inmate population.
A lot of guys are taking their own utensils into the mess hall, taking their own dishes and bowls into the mess hall. They're not drinking out of the cups that the mess hall uses as supplies.
3 of us here on the staff reside in the block where the individual resided. A majority of those people are saying amongst themselves today, should we be tested or something?
Dr. Vijay Iyuni claims there are currently no cases of AIDS at the prison, but he acknowledges the institution is faced with the dilemma of accommodating potential AIDS victims.
It's no different than outside. Prison, unless we do the testing, we won't know for sure, but it's like outside. You just can't screen everybody in a city and segregate those people who have AIDS.
Iyuni claims his biggest problem has been educating the staff and prisoners about the disease and how it's transmitted. Prison doctors say within 2 weeks they hope to have a policy that could include routine AIDS testing of all prisoners, and they hope to have a plan on how to house prisoners who have the disease. Angela Astor for the Eyewitness News Update.
A rash of attacks and robberies have Twin Cities cab drivers worried tonight. A blue and white driver was stabbed this evening in an apparent robbery at the intersection of Plymouth and Emerson on the city's north side. Driver Connie Marchand was robbed last week by a man with a knife. Marchand says she understands a half dozen of her fellow cabbies have been held up during the past week. She says usually 2 men are involved in the robberies, a black man and a white man. But she was robbed by one attacker who she described as a well-dressed man.
He slid over in back of me as if he was going to get into his tight pants, and when he slid over to the back of me, that's when he put the knife to my neck.
And how'd you get away from him?
I had the car running, and I seen a car coming up in back of me, and a car coming up off on the side, and I put the car in the gear, and I cut the guy off, and I went up, and then I hit the brakes real fast and went into a spin.
Cab drivers have been told that police are working on a composite drawing of the suspects, both of them, as part of their investigation. Cindy?
Testimony today that there was no investigation of great magnitude underway when Scott County prosecutor Kathleen Morris dropped the charges in the alleged Jordan sex ring case. Morden has claimed that she dropped the cases to protect a larger investigation of alleged murder and mutilation of children. But a BCA investigator testified that there was no substance to the charges, and Scott County Sheriff Douglas Teets described the murder allegations as far-fetched.
As of October 15, 1984, in your opinion, was this an investigation of great magnitude within your department?
The investigation of the child...
Of the murder and mutilation allegations.
In my opinion, no.
Earlier in the day, Morris was brought to tears as witnesses described in detail sex games that children were allegedly asked to play. Testimony will continue. Stan?
Cindy, Brooklyn park authorities this evening are stuck with a garage full of hazardous, dangerous chemicals. This material apparently been abandoned in that suburb of Minneapolis, and Kevin Berger reports tonight that getting rid of it safely may be quite a chore.
The house the chemicals were found in is empty. The house sits just 50 feet from the Mississippi, and that makes the presence of these barrels threatening to the environment. Today, a testing company drew samples to find out more about the contents of these barrels. The owner of the house owned a bankrupt electroplating company. These chemicals include dangerous acids, oxidizing agents, and sulfates. Brooklyn Park officials say abandoning them is an act of irresponsibility.
Here we have a house that's abandoned that initially we didn't know about. Had there been a fire there, we would have risked our lives, the firefighters, first off to try to enter the building to look for victims inside. We could crawl right over that material, and some of our people could die.
The owner of the house is William Silbernagel. He's been told by the city and the Pollution Control Agency to clean up the site and move the chemicals. But Silbernagel has moved out of state and doesn't respond to certified letters and phone calls from authorities. This is not the first incident involving William Silbernagel and toxic chemicals. Brooklyn Park officials say he left leaking barrels at this storage rental facility last fall. They were ordered removed, and they were. Officials speculate they may have then been taken to the home near the river. It could cost $40,000 to remove and transport the chemicals found here. The city and the PCA say court action may follow to make sure these barrels are put where they can't cause any harm. Kevin Berger, Channel 5 Eyewitness News Update, Brooklyn Park.
Next, destruction in northern Minnesota caused by Mother Nature.
Yeah, the experts are calling it straight-line winds, but people in northern Minnesota are calling it big trouble. Stay tuned. Chicago area hospital is very busy tonight, treating some 23 people injured when a bus crashed onto a car today. Witnesses say that the automobiles swerved in front of that bus. There were 7 young people inside the car. All of them were killed instantly. 60 people on the bus were hurt, and 1/3 of them are hospitalized tonight. A construction accident in Kansas City, Missouri today injured 5 people and killed 2 construction workers. A crane collapsed on top of the AT&T building being built downtown.
The remains of 26 Americans killed in Vietnam are going to be returned to the United States. That announcement today from the Vietnamese government. Officials say that they will also provide evidence on the identities of 6 other American soldiers reported as missing in action. 29 American peace activists missing since yesterday walked to freedom in Nicaragua today. All are members of the Witness for Peace organization. They say they were kidnapped by anti-Sandinista rebels. In South Africa, rebellion against apartheid and ethnic violence between blacks and Indians has now claimed 50 lives in 3 days. More violence today as blacks battled Indians in the city of Durban. A peace memorial to Mahatma Gandhi was destroyed. Could be life in prison for Arthur Walker. Walker was convicted today on 7 counts of spying for the Soviet Union. He's the brother of John Walker, the man that federal authorities say led that spy ring. Destruction caused by straight-line winds up north today.
Right, Cindy, severe thunderstorms hit northwestern Minnesota early this morning, causing considerable property damage, but no serious injuries. Reporter Catherine Smith spent most of the day up north and has the details here for us.
Chainsaws were as popular today in Ogama as snowblowers are in the winter. And despite the storm damage, there was still a sense that life must go on. Straight-line winds and possibly a tornado hit 3 northwest Minnesota counties about 3:30 a.m. Lots of trees were downed and power lines snapped. By noon, the utility company had restored power, but people from Becker, Clearwater, and Beltrami counties were still trading stories about what the storm was like.
At first it was really, really still. And then it started hail and rain, and then it got really windy. But really no breeze, just really windy, you know.
In Clearwater County, just to the north, the carnival at the county fair wasn't spared at all. High winds caused an estimated $50,000 damage to rides, and some concession stands were damaged. The fair finally got underway 5 hours late, thanks to workers who were still a little shaky.
We were scared last night. My wife and I were in the trailer, and it's real hard to try to calm your wife down when you're scared to death yourself.
Property damage was minimal. The biggest question here, what was it that touched down? Experts from the National Weather Service hesitate in calling the storm that hit here early this morning a tornado. But if you ask any one of these unofficial experts, that's exactly what they'll say it was. For the Eyewitness News Update, I'm Catherine Smith in Ogama, Minnesota.
A gigantic mess there. That same system didn't give us all that grief, but we sure felt it, though, didn't we?
Sure did. Big temperature drop, big rain, badly needed rain.
Crazy, right?
Temperature drop? You want to see a temperature drop? 6 o'clock this morning, we were doing okay. We're here in the 70s after a warm and sticky night. Top out at 87, and holy cow, the bottom dropped out. In less than 3 hours, the temperature dropped 20 degrees in the Twin Cities, and we're continuing to head down into the low 60s. Been a long time since we've been that cool. And then we weren't the only place experiencing that kind of a temperature drop. In fact, if you compare this afternoon readings to yesterday's high temperatures in the upper Midwest, there's been at least a 20-degree drop from the Twin Cities westward all the way back through the Dakotas and into Montana, and a lot of places weren't satisfied with a 20-degree drop. Some places dropped 30 degrees. Other places wanted more. 40-degree drop, even better. In fact, Rapid City approached a 45 to 46-degree drop. They were in the hundreds yesterday. Today, they were in the mid-50s. Well, along with the temperature drop came some rain, and some badly needed rain, and it came up real quick. This is 11 o'clock this morning, and watch just to the north of the Twin Cities, instant line. And we roll the time lapse along, and for a while it stayed there, dropping anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rain across the northern Twin Cities. That moved on to the east. A second line of rain moved through the Twin Cities, and we come up on a current picture right now, and things have changed. We've just got a few bands of scattered showers to the west, one in a line from near Aiken right down in the northwestern suburbs of the Twin Cities. And what's left of the big rain area, which came through here, continues to drop a lot of rain in central Wisconsin and all the way down into northeastern Iowa. Some of those may still be severe over the next couple of hours. The Severe Storms Forecast Center is maintaining a severe storm watch until 1 o'clock in the morning for southern Wisconsin and much of eastern Iowa, but it looks like the activity is beginning to calm down for now. Speaking of things now, here's the weather map right now, and things have changed considerably. Now, here's the satellite loop. We'll roll this along for the last couple of hours, and you can see there is a marked clearing trend which is taking place from the south and southwest. We believe the clouds will be lifting on out. There's a good possibility that some of those clouds are going to be hanging around tomorrow morning, but we think they'll break up around noontime and give us some sunshine by tomorrow afternoon, and temperatures a little bit cooler than they have been, but the air definitely drier. The weather map shows that a cold front came through the metropolitan area about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, and now it's well to our east and southeast. There's a weak area of high pressure moving in behind it, and that's what we think will help clear the skies out. Now, high temperatures today show the kind of air which we will be moving into for tomorrow. There it is, a big area of 70s just to our northwest. That'll be sliding onto the east, replacing that stifling 80 and 90-degree area which we've had over the last couple of days. How warm did it get officially? Well, in the Almanac department, the high was 87, the low was 62. In fact, that's our current reading. It makes the day 2 degrees above normal. Airport had about a quarter of an inch of rain. Right now, as I said, it is 62. Dew point's down to 55. Humidity 78%. Our wind right now is out of the northwest at 14. Pressure's rising. Still some showers in the area. That's not the only thing in the area. The pollen count took off for today. It went all the way into the very high range, and look at that. Ragweed is definitely here. It'll be here tomorrow, too, and hopefully the clouds and the showers won't be. The weather map for tomorrow shows that cold front moving on to the east, and if it does that, clouds and showers will lift out by midday tomorrow at the latest. Replacing it will be sunshine, temperatures in the 70s. The forecast for tonight in detail calls for cloudy and cool weather with scattered showers, lows of 53 to 58 with a north wind. And then for tomorrow, morning showers possible, becoming partly cloudy, highs of 75 to 80. And tomorrow night and Sunday looks real nice, partly cloudy and pleasant with lows of 50 to 56, highs on Sunday 77 to 82. And looking ahead with a return to thunderstorms possible on Monday, otherwise partly cloudy. Temperatures a little bit below normal for this time of the year, but after this week, that's okay.
Almost downright chilly.
Yes.
Want to hear a neat story?
Sure.
Fun story, good story. Wish we could do these more often. A group of children from the St. Paul Rehab Center today took time before today's rain to hold a car wash. These 2 to 4-year-old toddlers, look at those little guys, gals, raised money as part of their graduation exercises. The wash was a real team effort.
Good work. Way up on top. You want to do it too, Dust?
Little boost from Mom there, that's all right. The kids washed 10 vehicles today and raised enough money for the whole group to go out for lunch. What a nice story. I love it.
Too bad it's so late. I wish my daughter were watching.
Give her an idea.
Send her out to the garage.
Well, a massive group here of country music fans out for a big night up north there.
It's happening in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. We'll take you there live via News Star 5 next. A victory of sorts for Minneapolis today in the latest battle in the ongoing war over a new convention center. City officials celebrated after council members chose the Hilton Corporation to develop a huge hotel complex next to the Grant Street Convention Center site. The city hopes to turn the complex into a major attraction, and they are determined to proceed with plans no matter what Bloomington does with its proposed mega mall. A mega music lover attraction tonight in Detroit Lakes.
Cindy, 3 days of a pickin' and a grinnin' begins tonight. The Country Western Musical Festival, it's called Alive in '85, is being billed as one of the largest outdoor concerts this side of the Mason-Dixon line. Frank Mann is there live via News Star 5 right now. Frank, what is in store for Ussens this weekend?
Stan, well, if you like country music and you like to camp, well, this is the place. Remember the US Festival in California? Well, this is the We Festival. And we, meaning everyone here, are having a blast. Well, this whole thing has been put together by a 32-year-old promoter named Jeff Kruger. This year, Kruger has enlisted such acts as Janie Fricke, Charlie Pride, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and Hank Williams Jr. There's Janie right now, singing. What a voice that lady has. Now, Kruger says he's expecting about 20,000 to attend this year's We Fest, all at a cost to him of about $1 million.
We get people from California, from Florida, Kansas City, Montana. So they're from all over the United States. It's the largest outdoor camping event in the country. We do 4,000 sites. Right now we have a little over half of those sites filled, and it's not even the end of Friday night.
Hopefully the weather will hold out for this event. It hasn't rained yet, but if attendance is poor, the performers may be asked to take a cut in pay, which isn't going over too well with some of them. Now, Stroh's Beer is doing a huge promotion here tonight. This is supposed to be one of the biggest beer drinking events ever. Now, that's kind of hard to imagine because I don't think of these mild-mannered people as being interested in alcohol. Stan and Cindy, what do you think?
I think usually make mine water, right, Frank? You too.
Right.
You be careful.
We have something for everyone tonight. Art lovers delighted today in Minneapolis with the opening of the Uptown Art Festival. Art enthusiasts stroll through hundreds of displays of potteries and wind chimes and handmade paper landscape. Now, this afternoon's rain did chase some of the exhibitors to drier ground, but all was not lost because the Uptown celebration continues throughout the weekend. Still ahead tonight, the Twins are rolling at the Dome tonight. Bob Bruce has that story and more next on Eyewitness Sports. Now, if the Twins hold on, this should make everybody feel pretty good, beating the boys at the top.
No doubt about it. Great way to get the season back going. It's not over yet, but right now the Twins are headed for 2 in a row over the division-leading Angels. The Twins lead at 6-1 in the 8th inning, and yes, if they hold on to win it, there's still just 12 games out. Well, it's a start anyway. First inning, Ron Washington at the plate, and great Scott, of all people, he hits a home run. This one deep to left. Unbelievable home run, and the Twins have had the lead ever since. They picked up 3 more in the third, 2 of them coming on this double into the right field corner by Ken Herbeck. Again, the Twins lead at 6-1 in the 8th. Now, earlier today, left-hander Steve Howell worked out at the Metrodome, and the Twins appear to be very close to adding Howell to their pitching staff. I'm sure you know the story. 5 years ago, he was Rookie of the Year in the National League. Then he had some drug problems. Earlier this season, he was released by the Dodgers, so he is a free agent, and he says he would like to play for the Twins. Today, Steve showed some pretty good pop on his fastball, and he'll work out again tomorrow. And if the Twins like what they see, Howell could be signed as early as Sunday. Other scores in the American League for you tonight. Kansas City beat Toronto in the 6th. Milwaukee leading Chicago. Texas over Baltimore. New York over Boston 10-6. Cleveland beat the Tigers 4-2. No score in the first inning between Oakland and Seattle. The National League Pirates lost to Montreal. St. Louis Cardinals over the Phillies. Chicago lost to the Mets 6-4. And Houston, the first of 2 in San Diego. Houston losing the first one of that doubleheader. No big winners today in the Pick 6 at Canterbury Downs, so a bit less than $27,000 will carry over to tomorrow's pool. On Sunday, one of the key features of this racing season, the $150,000 Canterbury Cup. It looks to be just a great field for that one, and we get a preview tonight from Channel 5's Greg Warman.
In the draw, number 1 is Retsina Run, to be ridden by jockey Ron Hansen, carrying 115 pounds.
Retsina Run is familiar with the Canterbury Downs track. A few weeks ago, we finished a strong 4th in the Chaucer Cup. a race of a shorter distance than the Canterbury Cup. And with the longer distance, a good post position, and jockey Ron Hansen aboard, he is considered one of the favorites.
Hopefully I can use my speed to, in the number one post position to my advantage and try and set the race up to suit me.
Hansen will have to maneuver Retsina Run through a field of 7 other horses. One of those, Big Pistol, an exceptional 4-year-old.
It may sound cliche, but this weekend's running of the Canterbury Cup could just about be any horse's race. The early favorite is My Habatoni, who has shining credentials and could just be the horse to beat when they go to the starting gate.
But I wouldn't trade places with anybody. Our horse comes up to the race very good. He's run with probably some of the best handicap horses in the country this year, and I think he'll run very well. And I hope that he wins, and I think he'll run his best race. And if he does, he will win.
I'm Greg Warmoth, Channel 5 Eyewitness Sports.
Should be a good race. Tommy Kramer will not be the starting quarterback when the Vikings open up their preseason schedule tomorrow night in Miami. Bud never starts as number 1 quarterback in the first exhibition game. Instead, the Vikes will start Wade Wilson. He'll be in the backfield along with Alan Rice and Alfred Anderson. Defending champ Lee Trevino has a 1-shot lead after 2 rounds of the PGA Golf Championship in Denver. The Supermex shot a 66 yesterday, a 68 today, and he's 8 under par for the tournament. Finally, in sports, some of the top milers in the world are in the Twin Cities this weekend for tomorrow's Minnesota Sports Spectacular and the Wheaties Mile. That's John Walker. A decade ago, he broke Jim Ryan's world record in the mile. Also in the men's field for that run down Nicollet Mall, Eamon Coughlin and the American record holder Steve Scott. In the women's field, 3 runners who competed for the United States in the 1984 Olympics will have those 2 races and 4 other races, college men and women, high school boy and girls, all starting tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. And then the Sports Spectacular, it of course includes a full day of events at Parade Stadium. Everybody should go down to tomorrow. Rugby, karate, you name it, they've got it. We'll have a special 1-hour program tomorrow night at 10:30 recapping the mile runs down Nicollet Mall and of course all of the other events. So it should be a very, very
Now that
big day.
run is speed. I mean, we were joking earlier because you said it was a mile run, and I thought, well, I mean, I could run a mile.
Well, if you do it under 4 minutes,
4 minutes,
you could do it. But they start at Washington Avenue and go all the way down by the Hyatt Regency, and it's really a neat course the way it's set up. And some of the runners say it's really set up even almost better than the Fifth Avenue mile in New York.
Technically, we can't set any records on this.
No, they don't have records for these type of runs, but it's a key for these particular world-class runners because they compete against one another, and at this point of the season, they want to see what kind of shape the other guys are in when they do start going for records.
All right, well, at the Lumber Exchange tonight in Minneapolis, there was a kickoff for the Sports Spectacular. They were stacking it on at an all-you-can-eat fettuccine dinner. I don't know if that's really, you have to officially carbo load for a mile-run race, but there was some also back to the 50s dancing to kick off what is hoped to be the state's biggest sporting event. Once again, the main event, Minnesota Sports Spectacular 85, starts at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and we will be there.
Need the dance to get rid of that fettuccine.
Yeah.
My wife makes the best fettuccine. Well,
Dennis Felkin said it would be like this.
It will. There may be a few clouds and showers hanging around in the morning, but I think for the most part, skies will become partly cloudy. Definitely cooler, definitely less humid, and definitely a nice afternoon, provided everything moves. Highs of 75 to 80. Enjoy your weekend.
Get a break from the heat.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right.
Have a good weekend. Good night.
Good night.